Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 133. Ben and I are back from an awesome time in Phoenix, also in Cleveland as well, where we had some many adventures we talk about. I think some of the biggest things that you're going to learn throughout this is that, it all comes down to discipline. It all comes down to group and community and support and people pushing themselves to whole different levels. We both came back super energized around the community and what we were able to actually accomplish while we're out there. And so this podcast, we go into what Phoenix was, what it was about, but ultimately what we learned and what others learned while they were out there. So tune in. This is a great episode. Learned a lot, and glad to be back, but also missing the folks out in Phoenix.
You know that there has had to have been some sacrifice, whether it's time or nutrition or whatever it is.
Recording myself talking about having a relationship with my chest.
I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Akin Health Podcast. Yo, what a week. Welcome back. Both Dave and I are back in our natural habitat after a week he was there for a week. I was there for much longer in the desert. Welcome back.
Dude, it's so good to be back into like a normal routine. I would tell you though, I had a great time at the event. I thought it was really well done, and by far the best event you've ever put on. Amazing community, man. I came back just like, so there's a conference that I run that I'm sure a lot of the folks our audience is familiar with called DerbyCon, which is, it was very family-centric, community-driven. I think community is the right word for that, right? Community-driven type of space. And this really kind of reminded me of the early days of DerbyCon, where, it's a movement kind of taking hold that was a big gap in the industry. And you could see, a lot of the folks there that were pushing themselves to new limits, doing things they've never done before. There was so many folks that were like, oh my God, I'm so scared to use this machine or so scared to do this lift because but now that you're here with me, it's, like RDLs were a great example. Like everybody's terrified of doing RDLs, right? And one of the guys was struggling, with it. And I'm like, hey, just switch your grip real quick here. Cause he was having like his right back was always a problematic issue. I'm like, just switch your grip really quick. He's like, oh my God. And he loads up like, 300 fucking pounds out there, and he's like, this feels great. I'm like, yep, there you go. So, it's like, and then obviously Adam doing the powerlifting. I mean, just freaking awesome. Like, you had people that have never deadlifted in their lives, done traditional, back squats or front squats before. And they're like, oh my God, this powerlifting stuff is so cool. Like I'm picking up huge weights and throwing them down. I'm like, this is what I've been talking about. Like
literally been talking about this for 3.5 years.
Podcast for like 3.5 years. Like this is what it's about. It's like, doing things that you've never done before and experiencing new things that you thought were never possible. And that's what's so cool. I think about these events and what you were able to put on, of course, the team bonding, the meals at night, and nutrition, Mark, cooking and just the family feel of all of that, introducing your family, obviously, to the community is a huge step. But just, being able to be exposed, a lot of people shared a lot of their personal lives and, things that they've struggled with and things that they were able to overcome and how much, this community meant to them. It was just a really good support system, I think, for folks. And, people are still complaining about their legs, which I'm really happy about.
Well, I will say, I think it's the 9th event. And then whenever I give you the reins of like, okay, right, Dave's going to take you through a leg session, within about 30 minutes, somebody was throwing up. And I was like, what the fuck?
What was outside throwing up?
So we will call that a success.
I was like, listen, I need you to take care of legs. I'm like, yes, sir. Like, here we go. Like,
strap yourself in.
Strap yourself in, boys and girls. This is going to be the pain train. Woo woo. So it was really good. But what was cool is, I was able to instill some of the things that I've learned about myself, in what I like doing, as well as what, they like doing into the training program. So, it was a mixture of, heavy lifting, and also obviously the hypertrophy aspect and just blowing the muscles out in different ways that they've never done. And it was, your whole 5 more thing, they're still talking about that in the chat rooms, because it's like, they would give up at, let's just say at 8 or 10, but they still had 5 more to go or 10 more to go. Right. And it was pushing past those boundaries of what you thought was possible in your own body. And when you have people there that are motivating you, that are supporting you, that are cheering you on, it's really impressive to see how far you can really push your body, and also recognize that failure in your muscles is very different than what you think. And we want to train as close to failure as possible. You don't need to go directly to failure every time, but pretty damn close to it. And that's going to give you the best results. But our interpretation of failure is vastly different than what our bodies can actually perform. And I think it was really cool to see, all the different folks just really push themselves beyond the limits they thought were possible in their own minds, and recognize that they can go much further, right? And that was really cool to see them overcome it in the powerlifting and in the leg sessions. I was walking over and watching, the pull and pushes, and everybody was just really energetic. And my gosh, some of those folks that had me, in the second half of the day, they've already put in some major sessions and been working all day. They still gave it their all and pushed everything they possibly could into it, and it was really incredible to see that whole thing.
Well, I was just thinking there, like, you can imagine the pressure of being on the hack squat, and then all of a sudden Dave Kennedy's on one side and I'm on the other side. You're like, I'm fucked. I am fucked now.
Yeah.
But no, it was cool. It was, I would like to, I don't know if we'll go through it in order or we'll just talk about it all around in circles. But I think that one of the biggest observations that I had on the Friday specifically, so the second day in the gym, there was a different energy there. And I don't know whether it came off the back of everything that was done in terms of like mindset and identity and the stuff with DDP on the Thursday, but there was definitely more of an energy in there. It could have been even that, everybody was nervous on the Wednesday, which they openly said, like, they were nervous going into it. And then there was a little bit more confidence in it on the Friday. But one of my big things is, like, I understand what it's like and how difficult it is to sort of maintain that level of intensity for 4 sessions across 3 days, essentially, with the obviously the day off in the middle. And previous events, the first event I ever did it was in Nashville. And we did the days back to back, and that 4th session in the gym in Nashville, like, nobody was interested in being there at all. I was like, right, we need to pull this one, but it wasn't the same this time. It was, people were like right to the end, like they didn't give a shit. They were there to work and put the intensity in. So it was great. It was great to see that. And I actually had a call with Clayton just this morning, just to sort of catch up. And he was saying, he's like, whenever you mentioned the intensity word, I was like, I don't really get what you're saying. And he's like, but I was able to observe it in everybody across the 2 days of training. But it was good to just sort of see. Well, one of my favorite things that I noticed was you got to experience what it's like to have my job. So one of my favorite things about being a coach is showing people they can do more than they ever thought they were capable of.
Yeah.
And you got to experience that life in front of, like, that is literally the reason I do. And you got to experience it.
It was such a good feeling, like, because I really hadn't gotten to really have my own group before. Like, I was helping out last time and things like that, which was great. But like, this is the first time I've really been in charge of, groups and pushing them through, and, and I have 3 different groups at a time, and they're all doing different things. And I had to manage that. And at the same time, keep them motivated. And, it was so cool to watch their expressions on their faces, push them through adversity, push them through their own minds, and come to a point to where they were doing things they never thought was possible. And, it was funny because I feel bad for the second day crew, because I was feeling a little saucy. And one of the groups started off with reverse hack squats. And I'm like, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do on your 4th set. First of all, we're going heavy. So we're going as heavy as you can possibly imagine. They're like, okay. I'm like, first exercise we're going to do, you're at your strongest. Let's go as strong as you possibly can go. And obviously for machines, so this is a tidbit that I've really learned over, my years of training, is that, machines are phenomenal because they kind of lock you into a position to where you really can't injure yourself. It's really hard to injure yourself. And so you can go a lot harder on machines knowing that you're not going to injure yourself. So, if we run on a machine, I was like, listen, leg extensions, it's your first thing. Do a warm up, make sure your legs are ready to go. And then you're hitting it as hard as you can. If you're getting 10 or 12 or 15, you're going too light. Let's go further to where you're getting 5 or 6 or 7 or 8. And people were like, literally, hobbit walking, like this, after their first, machine on exercises. But on the reverse hack squat, I'm like, all right, we're going to try something here. And so I had 2 people on each side with plates, and we load them up on the 4th set as much as possible. And they're doing it. And then they get to failure. They're like, all right, take a plate off from each side, keep going. And take a plate off from each side, keep going. Take a plate off from each side, keep going. Take a plate off each side, keep going. And they would walk and one of them was just laying on the ground. And it's the first exercise, you know. Like,
It's going to be a long day. But good though, and that's what gives the intensity. And Alec was mentioning just he's like, I don't, it was good to get the intensity, but I don't know how to replicate that whenever I'm by myself. I'm like, you just need to train as if I or Dave or you just need to train as if the coach is standing there beside you. Like that is the intensity you should have all of the time, and that is, I believe, the biggest piece of the puzzle that's missing in people's training. Like just showing up to the gym, while yes, good. If you're going to do it, like you may as well use your full ass. Like don't half-ass it. If you're going to do that, you're going to spend the time doing it, then you may as well go to your full capability and your full capacity. And I think that was the biggest lesson for the majority of people over the couple of days in the gym.
Yeah, and I even fall into this sometimes too myself, where my intensity may not be all the way where it needs to be for certain.
And you actually have a cardboard cutout of me, so I am
literally right there, right? I literally put the cardboard box, cardboard cutout right, of me.
You just need a voice activated 5 more whenever it recognizes when you're struggling. You're like, this motherfucker.
It's actually funny. So yesterday I'm literally doing leg workouts, and someone to put in the Discord on the Phoenix chat, they're like, yeah, the 5 more, in Ben and Dave's, from my ears getting yelled by Ben and Dave to do 5 more are going to permanently be stuck in my head. And I happen to be like, right now, I'm like, you know what? Yep, I'm going to do the same thing. So I did hack squats today, and I'm like getting ready to stop. I'm like, nope, 5 more. And I'm like, mother, this sucks. Like this is awful. So, it really is, when it comes down to it, a mindset issue with how hard we train and the intensity you put into there. And that's why, I've spoken about this recently, but kind of how I've shifted my training programs around a little bit to doing more heavier sets on machines, like first off, and really kind of burning myself out even early. And then the rest of it's just fatiguing the rest of my muscles. Like, that allows me to keep that kind of intensity up as I'm going through my entire workout. And then as I start to get to like squats, for example, I'm already like jacked up, like I could barely already walk. And I'm just like literally just, burning everything I possibly can out. And so today's a funny story. So I did legs yesterday and I went to Orange Theory today. I'm like, oh, not that bad. So, and I murdered it at Orange Theory today. I was on a tear, like one of the best workouts that I've had in a very long time. Oh, by the way, Jenna's leaving, unfortunately. So no more Jenna, but you weren't going to Orange Theory anyway. So
no, I wasn't. I was going. I mean, I'm sad, but also like I'll never be back to Orange Theory. So fine.
But great workout today. And I had that same competitiveness. There was somebody that was next to me that was running kind of at the same pace. And by the same pace, they were like 2 miles underneath me, but I still perceived them as a threat. And so, I was definitely pushing it. But after I got done with that, like I couldn't even walk. Like right now I'm having trouble physically walking right now. And that's a good thing, right? That you can tell, like, I was able to really hit in different levels. And I think those meetups really energize me to push myself even harder, so that next time we have a meetup, they're like, damn, Dave, you grew like twice the size you did before, right? Or you're, but it's, it was really cool to be, obviously, thank you for allowing me to be a trainer and that to have the same kind of experiences that you get to see every single day about, people's progress and pushing themselves into different limits. And it was really cool to see different people just starting off in their journey to, well into what they're doing in their journeys. And it was just really cool to see everybody just come together and really unite with our, with who we were. So it was awesome. That hike was great. It was beautiful out there. Friggin' Adam saying we get to the top of this mountain in Phoenix, and Adam's like, oh, well, you can go back the more paved way, which is the way we came up, or you can go down this like rocky path. That's not as bad. It's the same distance, but it's not, it's basically just like, going downhill. I thought I was going to die like 8 times. It was like cliffs and like hold on, like the rocks are really wobbly. I was like, we're gonna die here, like hey, what a way to go out. But it was,
yeah. True. As the sun's coming up, yeah. So I think we'll go right back to the start. We'll recap anybody who hasn't seen the footage or caught up. So I landed in Cleveland on the Wednesday. Yeah. We caught up Thursday. What did we do Thursday? Go to the gym. It feels like a lifetime ago.
We went to the gym, hung out.
Oh, we trained legs and complained about it the entire time. That was right. Yes, we trained legs, complained about it the entire time. Neither of us could walk for 3 days after. That was good. Yeah, great success on that. Friday, Dill, Mark, and my mum arrived. So we were on a big sales pitch to try and sell Cleveland specifically to my mum, which I think we definitely made huge progress on. We made some progress, so we're doing well. We're doing well on that front. we had an action-packed do as much as we possibly can to show them the place on Saturday because we've only got one day. I tell you, like, I hope that they don't expect every day in Cleveland to be like that. Because I don't know about you, but I was exhausted, man. I was like, we've done so many things.
Dude, when I drove him home and I came back and dropped you off, I like literally walked upstairs and went to bed. Like I didn't say hi to anybody. I just went to bed. I was exhausted. So yeah, it was.
But it was cool. It was cool. So we went for breakfast. We went to see your DeLorean. We went shooting. We went to the mall.
Brewery.
We went to the brewery. And then you cooked steaks for everybody.
Sure.
Had a couple of drinks, and then that was the end of that. Then we flew. The four of us flew. Me, Mum, Mark, and Dill flew to Phoenix. And then I basically started getting everything set up. I think it was good for me to sort of like gradually ease myself into people arriving. So yeah, a couple of people, 2 or 3 people arrived on the Sunday night. Then a few more people started arriving on the Monday night, and then Tuesday it was go time in the Airbnb. It was funny sort of seeing. You see the difference. Like you can tell if I was an outsider, like if it was my first, even Dill, for example, like you could tell the people who had been to an event before and the people who hadn't. So there was like that like shyness at the start where like nobody really, yes, okay, I've seen you on Discord or I've seen you on a call, but like this is the first time in person. And then even getting into the gym on the Wednesday morning, it was quite funny because I caught Dill like record people as to how they were feeling. And I've seen some of the clips, and the general consensus was everybody was feeling nervous. And I saw him record those same people on the Friday after they did Travis's like hit workout, his finisher, and they were like just full of energy, and they were just like it was like a completely different person. It was so cool to just see, you know, as a matter of essentially 3 days and 2 gym days, the difference to them in terms of just how they felt about being in the gym. So the way I'd split it up, I had put everybody into 4 groups. I did an upper body push session, an upper body pull session. I did the leg session. You did the leg session, and then Adam was doing the powerlifting clinic, and we just basically spread ourselves throughout the gym. Shout out to TG the gym in Arizona. Absolutely awesome. Overly accommodated us. Yeah. Like it was great to be there. Space was amazing. We sort of fit in. It was really enthusiastic. The other guys, the other trainers and stuff. I actually got a message from the guy that you were talking to. You got the message from the guy that you were talking to on the Wednesday. Just it was great to see the energy of everybody in there. I'm sure that's like what the fuck is going on here? Do you mean if you go to that gym regularly and then
a lot of the folks there were like what is this? You know, and they're explaining like, oh my God, that is so cool. Like, you know, the vibe there was so friendly. You know, like first of all, huge freaking gym, like multiple rooms that span, which I think was perfect because it spaced out, you know, the 50 people that we had come in there, 55 people had come in there. So you couldn't really tell that the gym was packed. It wasn't packed because, you know, 55 people did nothing to pack this gym. So, you know, but I can imagine like when you're going there to train, you're like, oh shit, there's 55 people. Are you kidding me? Like, this is going to suck. But you didn't get that vibe at all. Everybody was super like interested in what we were doing. Even on like the, you know, the more of the powerlifting / heavyweight side, like all those folks were like super nice and accommodating and just like passing weights back and forth. And it was just, I mean, the vibe there was really cool. So shout out to them for sure. It was a phenomenal gym, phenomenal people, just a really good gym culture. I didn't feel the same way at Redcon. You know, I felt like Redcon was more like, oh, it's an annoyance, you know, to them than anything. We kind of felt like we're part of the gym there, which is really neat.
Yeah, agree. So yeah, it was cool to see everybody, like I said, to sort of push themselves. I think there was definitely, you could tell that there was a little bit of hesitation, but I think once everybody got sort of familiar with their groups and the people they were working with, it definitely, as the day went on, it was much better for everybody involved. Then we had a bit of a timing issue where we were trying to keep something a surprise, and then everybody was still at the gym. I think they were still surprised though.
They were, absolutely. Well, I don't think, you know, no one I think expected. So Diamond Dallas page. So it was funny. I'm trying to work these logistics. So like DDP texts me and he's like, hey dude, he's like, let's get a quick, you know, lift session in with Ben and do some of the power cuffs. And I'm like, cool. You know, like we should be done training by 4. Why don't we plan on 5? But, you know, everybody was still at the gym working hard. And so DDP shows up at 5 and there's like still half the crew that are still there finishing up, which again, you know, awesome dedication and commitment to finishing those workouts. And so, you know, it's nice to see DDB come in and like say hi to everybody. He shook every single person's hand after the name, you know, and then we did, you know, the murder workout that DDP put us through.
Right. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like, There was so much of me. It was funny, and I'm going to throw you under the bus here. So there was so much of me that I was like, right, I am literally half this guy's age. I'm the coach here. I cannot let him beat me. Like, there's no way I can let him beat me. Every so often, and Dill caught you this time too, every so often it was like you'd set the weights down and like wipe your eye and something. Like, there's nothing in his fucking eye. He's just taking breaks in between his sets.
It really was.
Yeah.
I know. But I know exactly what Paul was talking about. The literally the sweat was perfectly hit my eyeball. It was burning my ass. And I tried going. If you look at the video, if you get the video, you're gonna see my eye like this for like 2 minutes. And I'm like, I gotta wipe this off. It's burning so bad. So I didn't BS that. No, believe me, it was a nice break. I needed it. But I had a legit reason. The sweat was burning my eyes like so bad. So
yeah. So yes, DGP took us through a Power Cuffs workout. Essentially we did chest and biceps. It was chest superset with a bicep exercise. We did 30 reps, then 20 reps, then 20 reps, then 20 reps. I must have been taking 25 minutes or something, like absolute maximum 25 minutes.
It was like 25, 30 minutes. And it was, so we started off with chest press, with the weights and low weights. And then we superset with bicep curls. Then we switched to incline chest press. And then we supersetted with hammer curls. And then we did chest flies and then supersetted with more bicep curls, I think, right? Seated bicep curls. And so
did we do 3 sets of exercises or 4?
We did 3, I think. 3 of each.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, chest flies, 3 of each. And so so it was, essentially 3 sets of each exercise. And, we're using the power cuffs, which are blood flow restrictions. So it requires your muscle to essentially work like 10 times as harder because you're cutting off oxygen to the muscle, which, it's not theory. It's proven by medical science. Stimulates the muscle substantially more, and you actually can grow much more muscle doing blood flow restrictions than anything else. It's actually used in rehabilitation quite a bit. My daughter, who had knee surgery, uses blood flow restrictions for rehabilitation on her knee. And so we went through that, and he's really big on the power cuffs because you don't have to go super heavy weights. You can literally essentially hack the system to go lower weights and still have the same benefits of going as heavy as you were. So I was exhausted with 30 minutes. Like I was.
Well, I just did the math, and I know math's hard, but we did about 540 reps, and I think he said you can only keep it on. I think he said you can only keep it on for 24 minutes. That's why everything was so timed that it was like short breaks in between, then switch between the chest exercise and the bicep exercise. But yeah, I mean, it was absolutely no joke.
And he was strict. Like there was no breaks.
No. It was like, I'm going to get water. And he was like, right, let's go. And I'm like,
even when we were doing the DDP workout the next day, he had Paige, Paige, what's the time? We got to go. Let's go. Let's move. Like he was like go. Like he's like, this is how we're going to work out, So it was really cool. I had a good time with that. And then obviously the next day.
Yeah, so the next day we had a bit of a mindset personal development day. Kira kicked us off. I sort of had a conversation with her a couple of weeks before the event, and one of the biggest things that I wanted to get across or for them to talk about or for us to talk about collectively is around identity. And I've said this time and time again, like one of the biggest things for me with what I do with everybody that I work with is I want to shift their identity of I go to the gym because insert X goal. So like whether it's to lose weight or whatever the thing is, to just get to the point where you're like, I go to the gym because I'm a person that goes to the gym, like make that a part of your identity because I feel like it makes things much easier. And I sort of kicked it off in the morning just by sort of saying, one of the things that I've observed in myself from working with the people that I work with is they're so comfortable and confident in their identity as a hacker or whatever it is that they do. And they really embody that. And they're more than happy to be that person. And that's something that I have sort of taken on in myself. And I'm more happy in myself with my own identity. So I wanted to sort of give them the thanks for giving me that. But then Kira sort of went into the sort of mindset side of stuff and how you can sort of improve your identity and how you can change it and how it's adaptive and things like that. And then we had Sean pretty much do the same thing. He was funny because he pulled me up towards the end of Kira's talk, and he was like, you would think that her and I had planned this for weeks, but this is absolutely bang on exactly the same stuff that I'm going to talk about. Sean was very funny because he's very much a case of like, we'll say something and let everybody sit in the awkward silence with it, which I really like. I'm about like, I'm actively enjoy people sitting in an awkward silence based on something we said. And then he did I think like a 40-minute breathwork session with everybody, which I didn't get involved in it because I was helping out with just getting things sorted in
same here. I had to get the
for
sound
lunchtime. Yeah.
So
But everybody, real positive feedback. There's obviously people who haven't done breath work before, but I think it was very good in terms of what they were able to accomplish or unlock or achieve, and the sort of vulnerability and the sharing that came at the end of it.
you know, it's interesting. Chris Bumstead has recently changed his routine to do cold plunge in the morning. And
Okay, there's another one to do cool plunge. I mean, just let me know
I'm not,
whenever you're going to. No, well, if you, that's
listen,
okay. If you don't want to be as good as the rest of us, that's okay.
listen, you know, I'm a religious person. If Jesus came down and was like, "Hey, you should probably go and do a cold plunge," I'm like, "Listen, man, there's a lot of things I'll do for you. That's not one thing I'll do. I'm so sorry." but what one thing that Chris Bumstead has also done is, instead of him taking pre-workout now and a lot of caffeine, he actually does the Wim Hof breathing techniques prior to a workout, which gives him the same type of stimulus, you know, from a mind clarity and energy level perspective. So he's actually cut out his pre-workout and gone more just into the breathing techniques and then the dopamine hit that you get from the cold plunge. And so, you know, that was kind of interesting that, you know, the more and more, you know, people that are doing the research is coming out with it. Even, you know, obviously Huberman's done a whole thing on breathing, the science behind it. Seems to be very, very positive as far as the impact it has on your body. And, you know, I did catch the beginning of Sean's presentation, and you know, I've obviously heard him talk before, and it's amazing how, and what was great is, you know, he hadn't even, DDP hadn't even talked to Sean prior to that, and DDP focused on, he's like, everything is controlled by your breath. Like, you're getting some anxiety, breathe. You're working out, breathe. You know, set the tone for your body. Let your body know everything's okay. Breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. Take a big, you know, deep breath in. You know, those are things that you can incorporate into your protocol that, you know, have a massive impact in anxiety, energy, just calmness, everything else, clarity. It all comes down to breathing. It's crazy.
Yeah, agree. Sean did throw me under the bus for those photos, but I'll deal with that at another time. I will. A story about a story about cool plunges and ice baths. So I took myself out for dinner to that steak place before I left Phoenix the first time I was there, and I was sat at the bar, obviously by myself, and this, like, I assumed they were on a date, sat like one chair, and then the girl was there, and then the guy was there, and they were talking about, and I obviously could hear the conversation because they were right beside me, and the guy started talking about doing cold plunges. And the stuff that he was saying, I was like, is this what I sound like? Is it like he is making anybody who gets into an ice bath sound like a total dickhead, because he was like talking about the brown fat stores and the minutes and the temperature and all this shit. And I was like, oh my God, this is like, he is not doing any of us a favor whatsoever. So I'm not going to preach about ice baths anymore, because that guy has absolutely put me off it. So yeah, Sean did the breath work, which is cool. Everybody had lunch, and then obviously DDP and PH arrived. He spoke from what Pete said for longer than he was supposed to, but I think it was good. One thing again that I'll take this back to, probably the feeling that you felt in the gym. So obviously he spoke about his career and sort of his mindset and everything he's been able to accomplish. But then he went on to talk about the work that he's doing with the Change or Die program. And he showed the clip, the clip about Butterbean.
Yeah.
And that to me, obviously on an extreme level, but you know what he's been able to do to help him essentially regain control of his life is, again, exactly the reason as to why I do what I do. Like, being able to put people in a position that they never thought they would be in again, or show them that they can do things they never thought they would be able to. It sort of reminded me as to why I do what I do, but also, again, sort of brought you surrounding yourself by the people who are on a similar mission. So being able to see that from him, and him sort of talk about that journey and everything that's come of that, was very cool for me. And then obviously he took everybody out onto the pickleball court, and we did some DDPY, which again was a new experience. There were some positions I was in, I was like, I can't fuck it. Like, I hope Paige doesn't come over here, because he's going to all sorts of correct me. Like, I am not in the same position as everybody else here.
I'm awkwardly like angled to a side. I'm like giving my.
I got all the photos back from Dylan. I was like, there's so many of me that I'm like such confused face. Like, I can't. I can hear the words that he's saying, but I'm like, I don't know how if I can put my body in that position. So it was cool to see that, and then obviously he took everybody over to one side and went through the parkour stuff. So it was cool. That was definitely one of those moments in my life that I sort of took a step back, and I was like, there's like 50 people here all wearing We Hack Health basketball jerseys, DDPs here, like, and everybody's doing fucking yoga on a tennis court in the middle of Phoenix. I was like, at what point in my life did this become my reality? And it was quite funny. Afterwards, I was talking to my mum, and she was like, oh, it's been so great here. Like, you know, I would love this to be like, imagine this was your life. And I was like, well, I'm here working. Like, this technically is my life. Like, I have created this for myself. So it was definitely a take stock of everything that's going on around you moment. Then they sort of finished up. He took photos of everybody, which was cool. Actually, I'll send you over the photos once we get kicked off here. And then again, Mark made a delicious meal for everybody. Friday we went back to the gym. Like I said, the energy in the gym was different on the second day, and different in a positive way. Like, not different as in nobody had the energy to do it or whatever else. So it was cool to see that. Then obviously you left and you missed all the best parts that happened after that I can't tell you about because it's top secret.
Listen.
No, I'm kidding. We went to Top Golf, which was cool. I didn't realize that people wouldn't know what Top Golf was. Sean was like, I thought we were actually going golfing. I was like, how the fuck am I going to take 50 people around a golf course dressed as superheroes? Like, what the fuck sort of party do you think this is? But I think it was good for everybody afterwards to sort of let their hair down. And then on Saturday, it was a bit of just a free day. Everybody did what they wanted to do. I wanted to just sort of chill out at the Airbnb and hang out and have conversations with people that I wasn't able to get caught up with. I actually think Travis was obviously there coaching, and I actually don't think that I had a full conversation with him, which just shows how busy the thing was. But a couple of people went skydiving on the Saturday morning, which, like, respect.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Respect for sure. Not getting me to jump out of.
Yeah.
Nope.
A couple of people went on a hike and things like that. So it was cool to just sort of see how the groups had sort of formed and people going to do sort of, again, still challenge himself. I went to the gym. I actually went to Maximum Fitness, the one that we went to last year, which is another great gym in Arizona if you're about. But I had a really good session because I feel like I purposely had trained every day up until the event because I knew that I generally don't get to train whenever these things are happening. So it was good to just get a session and not have to really worry about it. Back to Airbnb, and then again, barbecue, chilled out and things like that. So it was overall a very solid week, I think.
Yeah. So to break down some of those days, like the DDP, I would say speech that he gave was very inspirational in the sense of, like, he talks about how really, and this is actually an interesting thing that we talked about before. So, he talks about how really it's not even mindset, it's discipline, right? And how discipline is there even when your mindset isn't there, right? But obviously you need the mindset component to hold you accountable for discipline. But, discipline is at the end of the day what holds us accountable to change the habits that we're currently in today. The discipline is when you just feel like total crap and you don't want to go to the gym, but you don't have a choice, right? And I've talked about this before on the podcast. And my mindset, it's like, I don't have a choice on whether or not I go to the gym. I have to go. Like, it's just one of those things that I have to do as part of my routine. I'm not allowed to not go, even if it's a shit workout, total crap. I'm feeling like crap. I didn't sleep well. I have to have the discipline to still go and do the things that I need to be accountable for myself, for my life, for my longevity, for my energy, for my goals, to go and get there. And it all starts with the discipline aspect of things, of saying, I don't have a choice. I have to go and do this right now. And it's that type of motivation, I think. And I was watching the audience as DDP was talking about it, and a lot of heads nodding, a lot of people like, being inspired by it. But, you look at his career and the guy broke his back and all the doctors are saying, listen, dude, your career is done. Like,
well, first of all, he didn't start wrestling until he was 35. I was like, I still have a shot. I mean, I could still do it. Yeah.
I'm a bit over the age, unfortunately. Yeah, but we'll see. But but to see what he was able to overcome in the next year when the world heavyweight championship of the world was an incredible feat that no one had ever done before, coming back from a complete back break to where you couldn't even walk to going back into the wrestling ring and actually winning the championship. And it was funny because he starts off the thing with like, the first question I always get asked is wrestling fake or not, and he's like, listen, well, the outcomes may be written by writers. When somebody's dropping from the top of a ring onto your body and slamming you,
and they're like no 400 pounds, like you're not faking that shit.
There's no way to fake that. If you're getting thrown off of a ring into a hard concrete floor, like there's no way to fake that. And the abuse that they put their bodies through is real, right? I mean, you see these guys like Mankind, had broken his back like 30 different times, and like he's a mess, right? His body's a disaster. And you look at the same thing for Butterbean. I mean, Butterbean couldn't even walk, and the ability to use in a wheelchair, like literally, you see that video of him putting his wheelchair into his truck, with the automatic lift. And then literally his back is arched so far over that he's just hobbling to get into his truck, which he has trouble getting into, his van. And, to be able to now be in a ring and actually fight. I mean, when I saw him, he was moving around like it was Butterbean. I mean, he was fast, he was strong. It's amazing what our bodies can adapt to, but Butterbean had to have the discipline to come through and do that. And obviously, community can help you with that. Having a purpose can help you with that. Having people that motivate you and inspire you to get to that point can help you with that. But at the end of the day, you have to have the discipline to be able to push yourself to new limits that you've never thought were possible before. And that is where things change, right? For the better in all aspects, not just physique, not just, losing 10 pounds or gaining 5 pounds of muscle. It's the mental aspects, the overcoming of defeat. And, we've talked about this before on the podcast, but, Huberman talked about there's a part in our brain that grows when we do things we don't want to do, right? And people that consistently do, that are athletes or that consistently go and work out, that part of the brain is much larger. It's essentially what they call the purpose part of the brain, right? And so we're forcing ourselves to learn new things, to do things differently, to change what is constant or the same, to give us a purpose to push ourselves to new limits and heights. And that's what athletes can do, obviously, very well. But, to me, I was like, hey, why not train like an athlete? There's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, to be an athlete doesn't mean you have to be in the NBA or the NFL or things like that. You can be an athlete by pushing yourself past where you thought you were before. To me, that's an athlete, right? You're training as an athlete to better yourself in any way that you can. And so, it was really cool to see the expressions from folks when DDB came through, and he obviously, he took pictures with everybody, shook hands, and was really, really accommodating. It was really cool to be able to, that you were able, first of all, to arrange that, and two, that we were able to accommodate that and get it going with DDP, and obviously Paige is awesome too. So a lot of fun there. And then, I think what I really enjoyed was obviously, putting people through hell on legs, but also, afterwards at night, we didn't have like this busy schedule of like going to different places and stuff like that. It was, Trish and Mark, cooking and being the hosts, which they were amazing at. The breakfast were incredible. And I was like, because, every breakfast we'd have tomatoes, which is very unusual for US based things, but I know that's very big, obviously, in the UK. And so I enjoyed the flair of the, kind of UK themed breakfast that we were there. It was great. It's great food. And then obviously dinners were incredible as well. I'll tell you, what's interesting is the, what was it? Was it pulled pork? What we had one night?
Yeah.
It was probably better than my smoked pulled pork that I make. And it was like, I was like,
okay, I'm going to cut that sound clip out and I'll just send it to Mark.
I was like, I spent hours smoking meats, and like literally this tastes probably better than my smoked meat. So it was good, really good. But the part that I really enjoyed was the sharing of stories and, just getting to know folks. And, I didn't have to be Dave Kennedy, the InfoSec persona. I was just there with, my peers, just talking and having a good time and learning from one another. And, some good inspirational things. I was able to talk about like how I was able to grow my businesses and help others that are starting their own businesses and what they're overcoming, and just, tidbits that I got as well. So it was just really refreshing. I came back thinking like, oh, this was such a great experience. My mind is in a different spot than it was before I came, and I'm better off because of it. Right.
Yeah. And exactly that. Like obviously the first event that we did in Cleveland almost 2 years ago, not quite 2 years ago yet. I don't know fucking clue what I was doing, but it was not thrown together. It was planned, but there was definitely a lot of lessons learned in that. And I think the one big lesson from that is having everybody in the hotels didn't really work. The way that I had set the gym days up didn't really work. It wasn't as effective or as efficient as it could have been. So when we did the second one and we had an Airbnb involved, and I realized that of the whole thing, that time spent like not planned time of just having conversations and talking to people that you maybe have seen in Discord, maybe haven't, maybe complete strangers, and actually being able to have a conversation. They are definitely the most valuable parts of it. Obviously friendships forged, and I always get shit because like, well, can we not have a joint channel where everybody can be in the same place? I'm like, yeah, just another fucking channel on Discord. But for me, it's cool to just actually be able to sit down and just like catch up with the people, and it's not it's not on a Zoom call and we're not talking about training plans or whatever else. It's just like seeing what's going on, sitting around by the fire, things like that. And actually I'm excited to see what comes of the podcast that we recorded out there. Obviously we didn't record all 50 people together because Dill would not have been able to bring enough mics. And we sort of had this wild idea maybe I'll keep it a secret. Well, let's keep it a secret. We'll wait until the podcast comes out. But anyway, look forward to that one coming out. I think we need to talk about why DDP was about, like what we have going on, what the super secret stuff is, like, because I think we've kept it secret enough. I think we have to let people know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. So, over the past, well, it's been a while, like probably a year, right?
Well, you and I have been talking about it for about 2 years, but we've actively been working on it for about a year.
So we decided, actively about a year ago that we were going to get into the supplements business side of the house, and really more so, to leverage what we know from a research and science perspective to build some really cool things for people. So, what we're initially coming out with is, the pre-workout and a protein, whey isolate protein that, one chocolate flavored and vanilla, and then also 2 flavors on the pre-workout, which is strawberry, lime, and peach, but it's gonna be more like a berries flavor, strawberry flavor.
It's
peach-ish.
Yeah,
it's good. It's tasty. But we spent a lot of time with probably like 10 different iterations of the pre-workout just to get it like spot on, and it was really focused on taking away any garbage that's put in there, and really focusing on things that have been proven from a research perspective to really help not just on energy, but also mind focus, recovery, and obviously building muscle. Just as an example, we're one of the few pre-workouts that put GABA in our pre-workouts, which if you look at the research, GABA increases IGF-1 production by 3-fold if you take it as a pre-workout type thing. So you're increasing human growth hormone factor, your ability to perform and recover much faster in the gym, but also GABA. You have GABA receptors, which really help with focus, clarity, and energy. So there's a lot of great benefits from that. We got L-citrulline, really good for energy. I got pump. We got the S7, which is 7 different types of berries that produce nitric oxide, so blood flow to your body. So obviously helps with recovery, as well as getting that great pump that you look like when you're in the gym. Wish we could stay like that all the time. But
with those podcasts, you're not too far off it. I just walk about with them on all the time.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time on the formulation of
David, I've given you the title of CFO, Chief Formulation Officer.
I like it. I enjoy it. Like I'm like the mad scientist experimenting, and I'm obviously my own product because I test them out. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Like
I think that's to me, and I'm assuming. So please correct me if I'm wrong. Like why I want to do this is I want to get rid of the frustrations that I have in certain products. It's like some are there, some are not there. And it's like if you took bits from this one and put that one together, then you would have the perfect product. I was like, now we're in the position to do that. And even in the initial conversation that we had about formulations and stuff, it's like we want products that we want to use. Like we'll call it selfish if you want, but we're making them for us to share with everybody else, essentially.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if it takes off, great. If not, fantastic. But so we're also working on something else. We'll wait a little bit for that next nugget, I think, just to make sure everything's good there. But we may have another supplement coming up, but we're also going to focus on others too. Like we're looking at nootropic to add very minimal dose of caffeine. We're talking probably 25 to 35 milligrams of caffeine, very low dosage of that, but also focusing more on mental clarity. So you want a little bit of caffeine to hit the adenosine receptors, but also to help absorb some of the other types of ingredients that we're focusing on. So, it's.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for everything, but I am a big fan of nootropics and testing things out. So I'm excited to see once we get into the formulation stage of that, what that's going to look like and how much more efficient that everything I'm going to be.
Yeah, exactly right. And and again, we're backing it based off of proper dosages. The formulations, the dosages, everything else, like alpha GPC dosed properly, L-citrulline dosed properly. Originally had creatine in there, but we took it out just because there's some stigma behind, kidney issues. And people that have kidney issues probably shouldn't be taking creatine, but doesn't, hurt your kidneys as you go through. But there's definitely a stigma around that. So we decided to take creatine. And to be honest with you, it's such a cheap, supplement. Most people just add it into whatever they're doing anyway. So it's no big deal. I mean, I usually just, as my post-workout, I throw creatine in there right away. As part of what I'm doing. Plus, it was like, in order to dose it properly, you're basically doing 5 grams of creatine. So, you're adding a
super scooper. There was a lot of powder.
Yeah. So we decided to stay away from that at least. But everything else, that we put in there is really well well documented, dosage properly, good quality sources of where it's coming from. Obviously all goes through FDA certified places that build these formulas for us and everything else. And so we're close. We're obviously doing the branding and everything else around it, which was a whole different story. So
we'll do an entire podcast on that situation once we have rectified the situation.
Well, we can start at least a little bit of teasers. So the whole intent was for us to call the product line 0 Days, which is awesome. Like, I think that's like, it is such a great name. However, like we got all the marketing stuff done. We got all the brand stuff done. Ben's printed like a ton of, like flags and shirts and like, everything. We got everything branded, ready to go. And then our lawyers come back and say, hey, you can't use that. You're going to be
I want to talk about the timing of this. And now that I've reflected on it, it could be perfect. But essentially, imagine I am literally leaving one Airbnb on the way to pick you up from the airport to go to the Airbnb to start the event. I have all the stuff. I have the stickers, the shirts, the flags, literally everything. And I get a screenshot of an email from you being like, no, we can't use the name. I'm like, what? Could not. I'm like, timing wise, what the fuck? But I think in the grand scheme of things, it will all unveil itself and it will work out. But yeah.
Yeah. So, like the timing, like literally as
I'm landing. On the way.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, you guys can't use this. Like, there's no way around it, essentially. And we're like, oh, okay. So, hey, Ben, got to change the names. I think general consensus and what we're looking at is keeping the brand Hacking Your Health as kind of the main brand, and then the individual names for like the pre-workout stuff like that, we can name whatever we want to.
I think that actually, the more that I sort of thought about it, and just seeing people who had been at events before, or people who hadn't, that just had like We Hack Health merch, and seeing everybody in the shirts and stuff like that, and just looking at the logo and stuff, like it makes more sense. Do you know what I mean? Like we've already built that. It's just an extension of that. Actually, the thing that I sort of have phrased it as is an evolution of Hacking Your Health. So I think that we'll do that, and I think we can have fun with the individual names of the individual products. I just want to touch on why we've been keeping it such a secret. The biggest thing for me is, with anything, I always want to make it about the community more than it is about me. And obviously, with the opportunity of having 50 some clients in Phoenix, I wanted them to be a part of the initial, like, we have the samples, here's the thing, here's the story. Yes, okay, we had to change the story slightly. The supplements company formerly known as a 0 Day. So it was good to involve them. It was good to share the story with them. It was good to get their feedback on the products as well, how they felt, what they thought about the flavors, things like that. So I wanted them to be very much involved in it initially. So that's why we're trying to keep it as under wraps as we possibly could.
Yep. And that's, the big thing for us is like, we don't want to release something that's half-assed, right? Spend the time, the do the right things and do it in a way that we're not doing this. And none of this, by the way, is like a money grab. Like, I don't think we're going to turn this into, a multi-million-dollar, supplements company, right? That's not the intent. If it happens, hey, that's great. But, we're putting something that we believe in, that I believe in, that Ben believes in, as far as, being able to help you perform based on the research and data, which is what all Hacking Your Health is about, right? It's about, what can we do to improve ourselves and everything else. And, for me, the pre-workout for me was the staple. I knew I needed to hit the ingredients right, and then I had to try it a million different times to figure out what was best. And I've tried like every single pre-workout known to man that's out there, and which ones I like and which ones I don't, and which ones, what ingredients make me feel like crap, and what's the differences between those, and what are the dosages.
Which ingredients make me shit my pants, and not to put that one in.
There's definitely one of those. It was one of those things where I was like, hey, can we build something awesome for such a niche community that is really cool, that would enjoy the amount of effort and work that we put into it and have fun with it, right? And give us feedback, so, we may change the recipe and formula as we go along, right? As new research comes out, or, we get feedback from the industry, we'll look at doing different versioning, things with it. So, this is our version, alpha right now coming out. And, so we're working on it. I think, in the next, few weeks, we should be pushing forward pretty fast and quick. Our goal is hopefully by the end of Q1 to get something out to where we can do a limited release for people to go out and try, and see what they think, and get some feedback, and obviously iterate and make it better. But overall, we're making a lot of progress and really happy with where it's at right now. And I love it. I used the pre-workout this morning and worked out fantastic. So
I came home. I didn't think I was going to make it through customs. I came home with a tub of H and the tub of the protein. I'm like, it's definitely just going to take my fucking bag.
So I had 3 bins pre-workout, 3 bins of protein, okay, and literally all my carry-on. And it's funny because like it goes through and you can see the guy, he looks at the screen, he looks at me, I'm like, I know I'm getting it. He's like, he laughs, he's like, yep, he's like, we don't like organics. And so it goes through and the lady's like, hey, what's that? I was like, oh, okay, let me just test it. Right through, like no issue. Like
it's funny as well because it wasn't like, it's not obviously the brand isn't on it. It's just a fucking white tub with a sticker on top filled full of powder, like dodgy.
It looks
dodgy as
sus AF, like it's about as sus as like it's white powder.
Yeah.
The white powder, like literally around, and you're like, nah, we're good.
But yes, I think the stage that we're at now, the pre-workout in terms of the formula is absolutely nailed. Like I used it in the gym. It's good. Everybody knows I don't really like too much beta-alanine, but I can feel that it's there, but I'm not like, scratching my face off the side of the rack. So it's absolutely nailed. Maybe a few iterations just to play about with the flavor again, because I want to be able to use it and I don't want to not look forward to drinking it. And then a couple of touches up on the flavors of the protein, and then we should be good to go, which is exciting.
It is. And so more to be announced on the Hacking Your Health supplements brand, not the 0-day supplements brand, because we don't want to get sued.
No.
But we can honestly make, the pre-workout called 0-day if we wanted to, obviously.
So we can still use that logo. So we're good. The branding doesn't need to keep changed. We can still have it.
Right. Yeah. But you can call it obviously whatever you want to, but the brand name has to be obviously branding.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than that, I thought, again, really awesome trip. Learned a lot. And I continue to still learn, which is obviously really important. And it was funny because I had to get home Friday because I had a really important event on Saturday, which was airsoft. And so I get back, and I get back at like 11:30 at night. Say hi to the kids, grab a quick bite to eat, go to bed, wake up, go to airsoft, and I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. So I got to shoot some kids. Obviously that sounds horrible, but obviously the kids were shooting me too. I literally one of the kids
everybody was shooting each other. It's fine. Oh shit!
Look at this right here.
Oh, shit.
That is a bad one.
Yeah,
that was a bad one. There's this kid that shot me from a side angle and got like right underneath where all my padding's at, and man, it definitely hurts. So.
Good.
But then I actually went airsoft yesterday too. So we took the Binary Defense folks, the whole agent server team. At Binary Defense, we went out to airsoft, and it was a lot of fun. It was really cool because no one had ever played airsoft, so it was basically our team versus other people that played, and we dominated every single game. It wasn't even close. We were just winning left and right. It was a lot of fun.
What's the lesson there?
I don't know, that Binary Defense rocks.
Well, yes, but my immediate thought on that is about,
I would say, good teamwork and cohesion.
Yeah. So you have a good team, you have good leadership, you have good communication. It doesn't matter what the skills of the other people are like.
Yeah, it's interesting. We communicated extremely well with one another because we were comfortable with one another, and we were able to really set a good game plan together to be able to hit certain objectives. So one of the games is called tower control, where you got to take the second story tower and basically control the whole thing, and then at the end whoever has the most people on top. So we divvied up into 2 groups, one group on top and then 2 groups to keep padding from the different locations you can come up to keep the pressure off of the top, and then we were supporting them for cover fire on top. So we had really good strategy, obviously, and we communicated extremely well. So if one person was out, they call out another person to fill in their position. We were really just owning the control. They couldn't even touch us to get up to the top floor. There was nobody on the top floor. It was actually, so the beginning there was people up there because we start off a different position. And there's people up there, and so I had a grenade, and I threw a grenade, and I killed 4 people, and I killed 2 more people, and then we controlled it the rest of the time. So I was like, this is great. This is awesome. So a lot of fun. And obviously Gavin came and Mason came, so we were able to have some of my kids there as well. And got in an argument with an adult that was talking to my kid. But
good times happen by all.
Well, it actually turned out to be a great conversation. So he was kind of in a pissy mood at first. He thought my son had said oh, I hit you. What he was saying was, did I hit you? He was questioning whether or not he hit him. So the guy got all pissy. I'm like, hey, that's my son. You can talk to me directly. You don't need to talk to him. And then afterwards, we actually end up hanging out and talking. And he's a good dude. And we ended up shaking it out and having a good time with each other and playing with each other. He ended up being a super kind dude. Obviously, when you get shot, your little kid's like, hey, you're out. And you're like, hey, dude, I'm an adult. Don't talk to me like that. So I understand, but he wasn't saying that. Anyway, big misunderstanding, but worked it out in good time. So anyways, yeah.
Good. Cool. Well, we did more than 25 minutes this week for everybody who was giving us shit last week.
Yes, we're not in a time crunch now, but appreciate everybody's patience on it. And again, really awesome event, Ben. Thank you for putting on such an awesome event and community, and the people that you've been able to really bring in. It's a testament to, I think, everybody in this group, right? I mean, we all have similar goals of uplifting and helping one another. And you can tell, like, even when people are going through stressors in life and things like that, it all kind of just faded away when we were there, just working together to help each other. And so really proud of what you've been able to build, man. And obviously the impact you've had on my life, of course, as well as the others that you continue to. So it was really cool to get a glimpse of that in your world while I was there.
So what you're saying is you're quitting cybersecurity and you're going to become a coach?
Quitting cybersecurity, becoming a coach. So it's the announcement today. That was our big secret.
That's the secret.
That was the big secret. I'm still cybersecurity, everybody, so you can't get rid of me that.
But no, for me, like, obviously it is full on, and I had a bit of time to decompress, and I got home and I was like, okay, guess I got to start planning the next one, which is cool. Like, everybody's already super enthusiastic yet, so I'm getting back to the events side, the events planning side. So if you're going to be a coach, you can just take my job. I'm going to just plan events, and then we're good to go from that point.
Sounds good. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to this week's episode of Hacking Your Health. Look forward to catching up with you next week. Later.
Discipline.